Hello and welcome to our channel. Today we will be presenting Q-Birds, a fast and fun game in which we will help flocks of birds find their way back to their nest. The game is suitable for people over 8 and has a length of about 20 minutes. Let's see what Q-Birds is about. Apart from the rulebook, the game has 110 bear cards divided into 8 different species. On the bottom left-hand corner of the card, we can see the number of cards available in the deck for that species. We also find an icon that identifies the species of the bird, and on the top right-hand corner of the card, we can see the number of the cards needed to collect a flock. This will be the number for a small flock, and this one for a big one. Later, we will explain how to use them. The game preparation is quite easy. First, shuffle all the bird cards. Then, lay out 4 rows with 3 cards face up at the center of the table. Each row must be composed of 3 different birds. If the same bird is present multiple times on a given row, discard the extra birds and place new cards until each row contains 3 birds from different species. Shuffle the cards again. The dealer gives 8 face-down bird cards from the draw pile to each player. This is their starting hand. Then, another bird card to each player, this time face up. This will be the first bird in their collection and players must keep it in front of them. Leave all the remaining cards near the center of the table, accessible to all players, and also enough free space next to the draw pile to form a discard pile. We will be ready to start playing. Let's see how the game is played. On their turn, players can perform 2 actions. The first action, which is compulsory, would be to lay birds. Players choose all the birds of the same species that they have in their hand and lay them on the left or on the right side of one of the 4 rows. They can choose their cards independently of the species of birds already present in the rows. In this case, the player lays 2 magpies from their hand on the right of the first row. If a player places a bird in a row that already has 1 or more birds of that species, the player must take all the cards between these birds into their hand. In this example, they get a flamingo. The player must then slide the remaining birds together so that they form a continuous row. If there is only 1 species of birds left in the row right after the player took the cards from it, the dealer must add cards from the draw pile to this row until there are 2 different species in it. The birds added can be placed either on the left or the right of the row. It may occur that a player lays 1 or more birds without surrounding any other cards between birds of the same species, either because there are no birds of that particular species in the selected row, or because it is placed next to a bird of the same flock. In these cases, the player will not draw cards from the center of the table. If they choose so, they have the option to take the 2 first cards from the draw pile and add them to their hand. In addition to laying birds, players can also complete a flock. This second action is optional. A flock is a series of birds of the same species. They can be of 2 different sizes, small or big. As we have seen before, each card specifies the number of cards needed for each of them. In this example, the player needs at least 4 cards of this species to gather a small flock and 6 or more for a big one. In order to complete a flock, the player has to reveal all the cards of the same species that they hold in their hand, even if they exceed the required number of cards. If the number of cards revealed is higher or equal to the number stated for a small flock, but lower to the one needed for a big one, the player adds 1 of the revealed cards to their collection. In this example, the player has revealed 5 cards, therefore they can only keep 1 for their collection. If the number of revealed cards is higher or equal to the number stated for a big flock, the player adds 2 of these revealed cards to their collection. Completing a flock allows the player to add 1 or 2 bird cards to their collection, which is kept in front of them. In this example, the player reveals 4 cards, getting 2 of them for their collection. In both cases, the remaining cards are placed in the discard pile. A player is not allowed to reveal cards if they do not have enough of them to complete a small flock. On their turn, a player can only complete a single flock, but they are never forced to complete one. Once a bird has been added to a player's collection, it can never be put back into their hand or into the draw pile. If a player has no cards left in their hand at the end of their turn, the current round ends. The rest of the players have to place any cards that they have left in their hand into the discard pile. The cards laid in rows at the center of the table remain in place. Players are then given 8 cards from the draw pile. If the draw pile gets empty, shuffle all the cards from the discard pile to form a new draw pile. The player who just ended the round becomes the first one to play in the next one. Players continue taking turns until one manages to win the game. When a player has 2 species of at least 3 birds in their collection, or at least 7 different species of the 8 available at the end of their turn, they immediately win the game. If these conditions are not met, the game also ends when at the end of the round it is impossible to deal 8 new cards to each player even after reshuffling the discard pile into a new draw pile. Players must add up all the birds, and the one with the most cards in their collection will win the game. In case of a tie, players share the victory. Q-Birds is an eye-catching card game that with very simple rules offers fast but intense games. Strategies can change at any time, and players will be forced to constantly rearrange their cards in order to collect the flux they need to win the game. The art is very colorful and charming. This makes games more pleasant to play. Since the rules are easy to learn, children can play with adults and have fun together. Even though the box is small, it could have been adapted to the size of the cards to make it even easier to transport, but it is still small enough to allow you to take it anywhere. What's your opinion on Q-Birds? We hope to read your comments, and remember, if you have enjoyed watching this video, don't forget to like it. To be up to date with our latest videos, subscribe to the channel and click the bell. We will continue playing in our next video.